After a busy transfer window, in which Arne Slot and Richard Hughes placed Liverpool at the centre of attention with bold plans to strengthen the defence, targeting names like Ronald Arauo to replace Ibrahima Konate, the club now finds itself living a completely different story. This time, it is not about buying an established star, but protecting a diamond that is being forged at home. And that diamond goes by the name Rio Numah. While the spotlight was still fixed on potential multi-million-pound arrivals, the 17-year-old decided to steal the show at Anfield, breaking yet another record and showing that perhaps the Reds' greatest future asset is already wearing red, impressing even the most seasoned veterans of the squad. Numah joined Liverpool in the summer of 2024 from Chelsea and has since been writing an accelerated fairy tale. His debut came in January 2025 in the FA Cup against Accrington Stanley when he was just 16 years and 135 days old, the second youngest player in the club's history to step onto the pitch. A few months later, in August, the youngster surprised once again, scoring against Newcastle at St James's Park. He became the youngest goalscorer in Liverpool's Premier League history at just 16 years and 361 days. It was the kind of feat that would ensure any young player's name was remembered for years to come, but he decided not to stop there. This week, in front of a pulsating Anfield crowd on a Champions League night against Atletico Madrid, Numah wrote another golden page in his brief career. In the 74th minute, Arne Slot decided to withdraw Florian Wirtz and throw the teenager into the fray. The result was historic. At 17 years and 19 days, he became the youngest player ever to feature for Liverpool in European competitions. The score ended 3-2 to the Reds, highlighted by a stunning goal from Andy Robertson, but the talk in the corridors of Anfield after the final whistle was singular. The boy who seems to ignore the weight of the shirt and plays as if in his own backyard. Robertson, one of the dressing room leaders and a symbol of commitment at Liverpool, made a point of publicly praising his young teammate in an interview immediately after the game. "I think he's brilliant, very composed for his age, and that's rare," the Scot told TNT Sports. "In training, he shows grit, shows fire. He isn't afraid to compete, to challenge the older players, and at the same time, he's respectful, wants to learn, wants to grow. That kind of mentality is everything you can ask for from a youngster." Robertson's words were not just praise, they were a stamp of approval from someone who knows the weight of wearing red at Anfield. Numah's impact extends beyond the pitch. Off it, he is becoming a true symbol of hope for the club's future. And this has not gone unnoticed by Richard Hughes, the sporting director, who recently had to endure the pain of losing Trent Alexander-Arnold to Real Madrid and now faces the risk of seeing Konate follow the same path, received a clear signal that he cannot make the same mistake with this gem. Numah does not turn 18 until next August, and until then, he can't sign a long-term professional contract. Yet the corridors of Anfield are buzzing with negotiations to ensure he remains at the club for at least 4 years, a move that began with registering him in the Champions League squad, even if it meant leaving Federico Chiesa out. Across Europe, Real Madrid is watching closely. According to Defensa Central, the Merengues are enchanted by the young talent and see him as a potential pearl. The recent memory of Trent Alexander-Arnold leaving Liverpool for Madrid makes this scenario even more tense for fans who fear seeing another homegrown talent tempted by the Spanish giants. The board knows that losing Numah would be a painful and symbolic blow, a sign of weakness just as the club seeks to assert the Slot era as a competitive and daring renaissance.
More than protecting a talent, keeping Numah means preserving the soul of the project Liverpool is trying to build. Arne Slot wants a competitive team today, but also wants to ensure that the club's tomorrow is as promising as the present. Seeing a boy who rose through the academy, dribbles with ease, plays without fear, and breaks records with the naturalness of someone simply enjoying the game is the kind of emotional fuel that moves supporters and inspires teammates. And in a market increasingly dominated by astronomical fees and media-frenzied transfers, there is something profoundly special in looking to the future and realizing that perhaps Liverpool's next big star does not need to be bought, because he is already at home. If the previous chapter of this story showed a Liverpool willing to spend fortunes on Arauo, this chapter reveals an even more powerful side. A club that understands the immeasurable value of nurturing its own gems. And with Ngumaha leaving his mark in every game he plays, Richard Hughes' message is clear. No matter who comes knocking, this present promise and future star must remain at Anfield. Because some achievements are not measured in pounds, but in dreams that begin on the bench and gradually conquer the world.
The transfer market is set to heat up once again, and Ronald Arauo's name is at the centre of this whirlwind of speculation that is stirring the backstage of European football. The Uruguayan defender, considered one of Barcelona's defensive pillars, could soon become the target of a genuine battle among giants, with Arne Slot's Liverpool ready to enter the race at full throttle. Meanwhile, Tottenham emerges as an unexpected threat, preparing the ground for a possible masterstroke that could frustrate the current Premier League champions' plans. And the backdrop of this story becomes even more dramatic, as even Real Madrid, Barcelona's eternal rival, appears as a potential suitor, although this possibility carries an air of scandal and disbelief. Tottenham, now under the leadership of Thomas Frank, has shown boldness since the start of the season. After winning the Europa League and undergoing a complete transformation at the board level following Daniel Levy's departure, the London club dived headfirst into the transfer market. Kudus, Xavi Simons, Palhinha and Kolo Muani were some of the high-profile additions, highlighting the Spurs' renewed ambition. Yet even after this stellar package of signings, the club's eyes remain wide open, and Arauo has reappeared on their radar. According to reports circulating since August, the Londoners have been considering a formal approach for the Barcelona defender for some time, a player who, in addition to winning La Liga in 2023 and 2025, represents security and leadership on the pitch. On the other side, Liverpool is planning a move that could shake the market. Arne Slot and sporting director Richard Hughes are willing to make a significant investment to ensure that the Reds' defensive sector remains one of the most feared in Europe. Their main target continues to be Mark Guéhi from Crystal Palace, but Arauo emerges as a premium alternative, especially as Ibrahima Konaté's future becomes increasingly uncertain. The Frenchman is approaching the end of his contract and could leave Anfield at the end of the season. According to Spanish outlets, Liverpool is ready to put around €50 million on the table in January in a bold attempt to convince Barca to part with one of their defensive jewels. Arauo, despite struggling with injuries last season, still managed to score 2 goals and provide 2 assists in 25 appearances, demonstrating his ability to contribute at both ends of the pitch. This campaign, he has already featured several times, both as a central defender and as a right-back, displaying a rare and valuable versatility. And it's not just Tottenham and Liverpool tracking his every move. Chelsea also probed his situation after losing Levi Colwill to injury, considering a possible move in the next transfer window. The widespread interest shows just how coveted he is, but it also makes it clear that anyone hoping to secure him will face a true battle behind the scenes of European football. And then comes the most controversial ingredient of all, rumours that Real Madrid could be in the frame to make a bold move for Arauo. Although this possibility sounds almost fanciful, it is enough to send shivers through Barcelona, which has historically dreaded losing talent directly to their greatest rival. The Spanish press recalls that moves of this nature are extremely rare and are always surrounded by controversy. Cases such as Luis Figo, who swapped Barca for Real in 2000 and had a pig's head thrown in his direction at Camp Nou, or Michael Laudrup, who went the opposite way and won La Liga in his very first season with Real, are still remembered as chapters of pure tension and drama in Spanish football. Since Luis Milla in the 1990s, no Spanish player has made this direct crossing, which makes the idea of Arauo wearing white almost taboo. Barcelona, meanwhile, shows no intention of selling their Uruguayan wall and knows that losing Arauo to a direct rival like Real Madrid would be almost unthinkable. Nevertheless, the mere mention of the Merengues in this dispute makes the story even more tantalizing, like an unexpected spice that could shake up the board and accelerate moves by other interested clubs.
After all, no one wants to be caught off guard by a historic sneak attack.
Meanwhile, Tottenham watches closely and may attempt to strike before Liverpool makes their move. Thomas Frank sees in Araujo the ideal piece to transform the Spurs' defence once and for all and consolidate his project. The news that the coach of one of Tottenham's main targets refused to reintegrate him into the team has only increased the Londoners' appetite for a major signing in January. And if Barca faces financial pressure or Araujo shows some openness to a new challenge, the Spurs could attempt something audacious and surprising. For Liverpool, however, this could be the perfect opportunity to reaffirm their strength in the market and demonstrate that the Arne Slot era has come to mark a new chapter at Anfield. Signing Araujo would not only fill the potential gap left by Konate, but also send a clear message across Europe that the Reds remain ready to fight for everything, from the Premier League to the Champions League. And if this behind-the-scenes duel materializes, fans can expect a true transfer saga, with chapters full of suspense, rivalry, and off-field maneuvers that promise to keep the football world gripped until the very last second of the transfer window.